Summer approaches its halfway point as teams at the top of the standings try to separate themselves from the pack below. Alltech and Fane, in particular, will be looking to nab sole possession at the top with our first game of the day. We'll see if they can take down Afromoon and the rest of 100 Thieves squad, who took a tough loss to the Golden Guardians last week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NA LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we play franchise manager and discuss draft strategy until the timer reaches 0, and we jump into Champion Select. Jat is out. Zyrene is in. It's good to have you, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be here, but like Jat left a really big mess, man. Like, what is all this?
I don't know what to tell you, man. Well, look, that's his side of the desk. I stay on my side of the desk. My side of the desk is pristine.
Is that dirt?
You
guys keep in jars of dirt here? Hold on. Let me help you out. Let me help you out. Hold on.
Is he throwing that away?
I don't know why you guys have dirt here.
There's no respect.
What goes on in this?
Zero respect.
I have no idea.
I mean, I guess thank you for tidying the place up, but also
completely removing.
I don't know what that means for those guys in their afterlife.
Huh?
With that, we are approaching the midway mark of the split, and if we look at the standings, there's 4 teams at the top vying for first place, while the 5th place teams Clutch Gaming, FlyQuest, Golden Guardians, and TSM aim to knock them down a peg, leaving Cloud9 and Optic Gaming in 9th. It's week 5, though, and Cloud9 returns to the LCS stage with yet another roster swap, so we got to talk about this one. Blabber coming in.
Yeah, they talked about how they thought he wasn't stage ready and he needed some more maturity, and I guess 1 week was enough because he's back. He's ready to get on stage, and we'll see.
He's all grown up, Zyrene.
Yeah, I feel like, though, this is one of those things where he's forced into manhood, right? Where it's like Sven Skaren is not performing well, so he's got to step up. Sven Skaren had an awful game on Gragas last week, and in the weeks before that, I remember 10K gold advantage, mispositioning as a tank and getting picked off on the front line. Like, he was not performing well. So I feel like this is one of those emergency situations. Get Blabber in there. And C9, they were vocal about how they weren't going to make any more changes. So this one strikes me as one that I think was necessary.
It's a little surprising, too, because their biggest problem is late-game shot-calling decision-making, and I doubt Blabber's going to help there, but like, to your point, you know, if Sven's making mistakes in the late game, you got to try something out.
Yeah, I mean, that said, they've tried a number of changes, so to some degree, it's not surprising to see them do more, aside from the fact that it goes counter to what they had announced to the public.
Yeah, the issue is that Cloud9 are doing, 1 step back to take 2 steps forward, but the issue is they've done that 4 times, so they're 4 steps back right now behind the entire pack, and they haven't taken those 8 steps forward.
We're waiting for that leap forward, the 8 steps all coming at once. Perhaps that day is today. Time to find out what's on the menu for the day in our schedule presented by Jersey Mike Subs. First up, Echo Fox and 100 Thieves try to knock each other out of first place, while Cloud9 hopes to keep their postseason dreams alive versus Team Liquid. Golden Guardians facing Counterlogic Gaming later in the day. And plus, throughout the day, FlyQuest Academy jungler Meteos will be joining us to break down every single game of the day. You heard that right, 5 games of Meteos. I love it. If you're looking for a sub above during our games, order online at jerseymikes.com, where using the promo code JM, NA LCS will guarantee you at least a Hextech chest and key with the added chance of earning exclusive skins, plus a VIP trip to the finals at the Oracle Arena. Coming into week 5, though, Coach Prawley shared 100 Thieves' recent progress and how they're pushing towards Worlds.
Usually we're going by like week-by-week basis, so honestly, I didn't know we were on a 5-game winning streak until someone told me. So there wasn't like a big mental reset that we had to take this last week. It was mostly like, this is, in my eyes, a pretty new roster that we have to work with. So we're still just growing it. So bumps along the road are expected. Now that we're about a week and a half into scrimming with Anda, it's been going really well. And I think we're not ready to show his strengths yet. I think we need more practice with it. So this week will, I think, be more of the same from us. But going forward, I hope we'll be able to pull out some new strategies. Well, my main priority right now is like making practice like better than other teams' practice, because I think that's a big weakness right now is the way teams are just scrimming each other. So right now we're gonna put in more work to make our scrim time like more efficient and just kind of push ourselves forward that way. Oh, Ssumday's gonna win really easily. I think the only way Huni can win is if he brings his little buddy Dardoch with him top.
Wow. Few things to unpack there. We'll get to the Ssumday point in just a moment, but I do want to talk about the practice. This idea that, again, we were kind of exposed at Rift Rivals for being unprepared, and so Prawley specifically saying that teams in general in North America and systemically, they don't have the right approach to practice. They're looking for a different one.
And that's why I wish you could go into more specifics, but it's like a bit of a trade secret. They can't give it up because there's so much to wonder what it is. Is it that they're practicing more specific matchups? You heard Free talking about run more lane. style situations and then not worry about the late game, figure out the matchups before you worry about the late game potentially? Or are they going where they're saying, all right, we're not going to end Baron, we're going to do other things?
And then, Zyrene, the other point that I wanted to hit on there is the idea that he kind of tipped his cap a little bit, his hand a little bit towards the idea that Onda, there's something special going on there that they're working with in practice, not ready to show it yet. But what is the implication here? They already have kind of a star jungler in Levi. Are they trying to do a similar thing to Onda and put him in, like, carry positions?
I actually have no idea. Like, when this guy came on the scene, it was like, oh, his Zac looks really sick, right? He engages. So I'm like, is he got that carry up his sleeve? Maybe he's like a super good
put him in a lane.
What are they going to do? So it was super cryptic, but, like, we have to see. And sometimes, you know, I do think those things are a little overstated and end up being like little bluffs. I trust Prawley, though, that he's seen some stuff, but not being ready to show somebody's strengths or kind of like, when is it going to happen? When will it be ready?
And then, of course, what he said there at the tail end of the interview, the idea that Ssumday will smash Huni in this matchup. This is a first-place match that features two high-profile Korean imports. These guys at one point in their careers were each maybe considered to be best, if not top 3 top laners in the world. And here they are about to duke it out.
Yeah, and both guys have played 2 years in the NA LCS. They were a little offset when Huni made his return to Korea, but now they're both back in here. And if you look at their career stats in North America, you can see it really does look like it favors Huni. Better win rate, better CSD, similar, a little lower KDA due to that risky playstyle that he has, but still puts up better numbers overall.
Yeah, but then their summer split so far, Ssumday is the person who is actually winning most of his matchups, carrying the games. As you can see on the back wall, the KDA flips.
I mean, the win rate is identical all of a sudden. So you go from a 70% win rate for Huni and a barely above 50% for Ssumday to equivalent at 62.5. I mean, that in and of itself tells a big story.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously probably Ssumday's best split they've ever had. The KDA is the big one that really jumps out, where it's 6.2 is fantastic for a top laner. We saw his carry performances on Jack, saving his team from literally losing games with his 4-man stuns and things like that.
Yeah, Ssumday has been amazing, but like Huni, it's funny because we're saying he's playing really like aggressive and he's getting killed for it. This is how Huni has kind of always played League of Legends, though. He's just getting punished harder for it now. And they're still picking up wins because he's so far forward that once he dies, it's hard to get stuff off of him. But he is somebody that is exploitable, and I think up against Ssumday, once he punishes you, he's the person who can twist that dagger and make it so you lose the entire game.
I was about to say, how do these two players interact? Let's talk about it without jungle intervention, because you just talked about how Huni at times can get punished and has been punished so much this summer split. But in isolation, do we feel like these guys are a fairly even matchup, or that it's favored one way or the other?
I think it's going to be pretty matchup dependent, because if Huni gets a favorable matchup, he's the kind of guy who's going to try and jam it down your throat as hard as he can, and he will push you to the edge. Whereas on this flip side, Ssumday plays for the smaller advantages, and if you get him a favorable matchup, he'll accrue the CS lead, but he might not be like the 3-0 laner who just dumpstered your top.
Yeah, and if it's the flip side where they're both playing safe matchups, I still go with Ssumday over him, because Huni playing safe matchups still plays them aggressively, and then he gets punished.
Right, okay, fair enough. All right, well, going into his matchup today, ThinkCard shared his approach to unlocking his stars.
Huni has been dying a lot on stage. I know he will get better. He's just one of the best players in the league, if not in the world. So I know that he will perform in the future, and he'll probably start performing now. It's just we need to give him the right support and right backup so that it's not just him dealing with his stuff in the top lane. We need to support him a little bit more and enable him to pop off. I think Huni has the advantage. Ssumday has been playing really well. There's no way that he's just like an average top laner. He is another top laner. So it is going to be a really good matchup. I think Huni has the edge just because it's Huni, and I'm excited to see what picks they pick for themselves pretty much. What sets us apart is just how good we are in lane in our communication. We're improving a lot mid-game, and so once we smooth that out, all these early leads that we get are going to feel a lot better and a lot smoother going into the mid and late game. So once we are a little bit more disciplined and keep improving, I think teams will be pretty fearful of playing us just in general. Dardoch's always one of the hardest working players, so it doesn't surprise me to see him doing really well this split and last split. It just comes down to our communication is getting better around him, and it's enabling him to play the game that he wants to play. And then when he can play the game he wants to play, he'll take control of games, and you'll see him get really big leads in the jungle.
Counting on that Huni X factor to give them a bit of an edge in this one, then of course stating that with their early leads, if they can clean up their mid game, you should see smoother transitions towards victories. Do you think that Echo Fox is a team capable of making those changes?
It does feel like, you're not going to ever expect them to change their play style, but they can be a lot cleaner in it. I think this is definitely an example where, yes, Huni does have this play style where he's always been kind of opting into the risky plays, but this is bordering into like, all right, come on, man. You can't just go in there and use your ease in lane with no vision. Go aggressive. So I think he can tone it back a little bit, but still go for the more aggressive play style.
Exactly. I think it's like level 3s when he really got punished. He didn't die on the GP, but it's basically when they started focusing him, having multiple people roam to the top lane. It really did kind of push Dardoch out of the game too. Because if you're Dardoch, you're trying to go, which lane is my best opportunity to gank and who is going to use the advantage I get them? And Huni is 100% the answer almost every time. So going to other lanes doesn't seem as productive for Dardoch. So Echo Fox is kind of readable in their playstyle, but they do it better than anybody else when they get it rolling.
Well, let's dive into some strategic decisions with sole possession of first place hanging in the balance here. What are the win conditions for game 1, starting with Echo Fox?
I'm going to keep it real simple. I saw something that I liked for a blue side team against 100 Thieves last week. Ban the funnel. It's what Golden Guardians did to beat them. It made it so that Cody's son was kind of forced down to the bot lane. Like regularly, they played standard, and it didn't look that good. And when we were talking about 100 Thieves win streak that they were on, it was all off the back of this funnel. You're on blue side. You have the draft advantage here. Ban it out, make them play you normal, and then hopefully you can actually use that to win the game.
All right, funnels out, Zyrene. What does 100 Thieves do?
Well, if funnels out, then I feel like you got to go play to the top side of the map. Play to Ssumday, use Onda, but the tricky part is that Onda versus Dardoch is a very Dardoch-favored matchup, regardless of Huni versus Ssumday being a Ssumday-favored matchup. And also on red side, get the counter pick. Get the counter pick for Ssumday and beat up on Huni. That's what I think they should do here to start winning the game.
Well, the win conditions have been laid out. We got 18 minutes to go until that first game of the day. Time for a break. When we return, the analysts propose some trades ahead of the roster lock. In theory, craft some new ways of approaching pick bans ahead of game 1. All that and more after this.
I've wanted to see TSM sneaky for a long time. I just don't feel like their current roster is doing a whole lot for them. And I've always been a big fan of C9's, the OG C9 team, back 2014, 2015. So I'd really like to see him turn over to the dark side.
Everyone wants to see Double Lift back on TSM, so I'd love to see that, for sure.
Afromu, go to Team Liquid. I'm really a big fan of the Rush Hour bot lane, so I'd like to see that happen again for sure.
Right now, I'd go for Ssumday to Team Liquid instead of Impact. I think Ssumday's been doing really well this season. Impact's been looking a little bit weak. I just think putting like a strong carry top up there could be really good for Team Liquid.
Impact for Huni in Team Liquid. For why? It's because I think he's like more skilled.
It kind of seems like if Double Lift doesn't do it all right now, they're not really winning.
Ole for Smoothie on Team Liquid, even though I love Ole with all my heart. He's been underperforming recently, and with Smoothie in Academy, I think he can really shine on a team like Team Liquid.
Some interesting trade proposals coming from the fans in attendance today at the LCS studios. Welcome back to the NA LCS Countdown, where the action starts in just about 13 minutes. On Tuesday, July 24th, teams lock their 10-man rosters and can no longer make trades in summer. So I'm asking Mark and Zyrene to propose trades they think teams should make before the lock, and you're going to help us out with this.
Yeah, absolutely. In chat, you guys will be able to say if you like these trades or not. And so we'll kick things off with my trade. It's the simplest one that I'm going to propose here, and I'm going to pretend to be 100 Thieves. I want to get Levi on the roster somehow, and the way that I'm going to look to do that is by securing a better non-import mid laner. And Palafox is one of the guys who has stood out in the Academy League as a mid laner who's done pretty well. Optic is the team I'm going to approach and try and get from him. They need a top laner. They've been struggling all season between Alorum and Dokla. So you give up Brandini, who's been pretty good actually in Academy. You get Dokla or Alorum, whichever one Optic doesn't really want, and you get Palafox in the trade as well. So hopefully that pushes your lineup to be you have Ssumday in the top lane, Levi in the jungle with Palafox in the mid lane, Afromu and Cody's son in the bot lane. And on the flip side, Optic will have Brandini starting in the top side. This is the trade that I would like to see happen. No one in Twitch chat seems to agree.
Hell nah.
I didn't like it, but
a whole bunch of nays coming out of the chat. Zyrene, what are your thoughts on this trade?
My thought is if I'm actually 100 Thieves, I'm going to sit there and go, wait a second. Why am I doing this? Because if I'm Optic, I'm saying, all right, I know that you want to run Levi. Give me something else. You're giving me Ssumday or Ryu, 100%. You're not trading me Brandini for that.
Well, I mean,
you give me Ryu or Ssumday, I can use that as a bargaining chip to go get like Shiro or a better top lane.
Okay. Optic's in last place. I don't think that they can really play hardball when it's like you're the one who needs the help. And the thing is with 100 Thieves lineup, and for Optic as well, this is a pretty low commitment trade where neither side is actually giving up resources that currently start on
Yeah, but
either
I'm
team.
making you stronger and you're my competition.
Yeah, but you're in 10th place and I'm in 1st, basically. So how competitive are we already?
Would you consider a trade where Ryu goes over to
I drafted
Optic?
up another one. We don't probably have time for it, but it was
Okay.
one where you were looking more for PoE and Ssumday being a trade, and then
Yeah,
you keep
yeah, yeah.
Brandini and you go for a much more aggressive flipping your stars approach, but I don't think that's something 100 Thieves would go for. I think this is actually a pretty realistic
It
trade.
started to even out there. It was a 40 A, 60 nay there near the end of it, but overwhelmingly in favor of nixing this trade. So the next scenario is actually proposed by Jat. Of course, Jat is not here, so I'm going to do my best.
Oh, yeah, we got to step back
I'm going to
for
make
this
my best
monstrosity.
effort because, of course, Jat has the most convoluted trade in the world. It's a 4-team trade, so get ready for this one. And what you might notice at first is that, holy crap, the Team Liquid lineup is getting blown up. And so let's explain why we're approaching this 4-way trade the way we are. Team Liquid, if you take their performance at MSI and at Rift Rivals to be any indication of how this roster will do at international tournaments, okay, their world's trajectory, not looking good. So this is an effort of just switching things up for the sake of maybe finding a better option as well as improving the rest of these teams. Now let's break it down. 100 Thieves. Same problem we're trying to solve as Mark, where we want to get Levi into the lineup, but we need an NA mid laner to do so to keep Ssumday in the top lane. So C9 is going to give Golden Glue over to 100 Thieves. C9, they want a new jungler. We're talking about Blabber coming in today. They're trying to find a veteran voice, someone who's solid in the jungle. Well, Team Liquid's going to toss Smithy over to Cloud9. Team Liquid, what are they getting out of all of this since they're giving so much? Well, they're going to take a strong jungle mid duo from Optic and Acadian and Power of Evil, as well as Smoothie. That's the big ticket item here. Somebody to go next to Doublelift in the bot lane who will be maybe a little bit more aggressive, who will also just kind of synergize with the style of player, that personality that Doublelift has, and maybe you have a more successful bot lane coming in there while not losing too much in your mid and jungle. And then finally, Optic Gaming.
They come out nice.
Yeah, they're going to be very happy with this
Jack
one.
really loves Optic. That's what I
Brandini into
learned.
the top lane. We already talked about how he outperforms both Dokla and Alorum in Academy, and so that's a straight upgrade there. Yes, maybe you're taking a small knock and Blabber subbing in, but when you have veteran leadership like Pobelter and Ole coming into the mid lane and support, maybe you index and cover for some of that. So the question to you guys was, who denies this trade?
Team Liquid.
I am not surprised to see 78% of you say that Team Liquid 100% denies this trade, but this would be the overall starting lineups that each of these teams end up with as a result.
And I gotta say, like, I understand if you're a Team Liquid fan why you say no to it. This is very risky, but if you're approaching it from the fact, like, we've been to 2 international competitions, we haven't had any noise that we've made there, and this roster has problems. Pobelter seems to get outclassed by international mid laners who are at the top of their region, and Ole doesn't synergize very well with the rest of the team, seemingly, and you're trying to tackle that problem at the risk of tanking your domestic performance, which I get is scary.
You got to
really,
make
really
it there
scary.
to international performances. Acadian hasn't done that yet. And Pobelter has proven that, sure, he could dominate domestically back when he was on CLG, and even making finals when he was with Immortals. And then, boom, or even making 3rd, 4th place match when he's on Immortals. And just like, this guy has shown that he can go international. It's just the issue of when he gets there. But we have seen him on CLG MSI finals.
Exactly. Obviously, there are a lot of questions to be raised around this, and it is a nut scenario. Hopefully, I did Jat justice in my explanation of why this should take place. But it seems like most people at home think that TL would be the one to block this trade. That's a 4-way trade. We're kicking it over to Zyrene for the final scenario.
All right. This one's going to be super simple. You take 3 teams, 3-way support swap. What's going to happen is C9 gives Smoothie to TL. TL gives Ole to TSM, and TSM give Mithy to C9.
Okay.
And so what the rosters end up looking like is having a support that shores up their current weakness. So C9, right now their weakness is the fact that they don't have good late game shot calling. You have veterans with Jensen and Sneaky who aren't very vocal, but you also have new guys with Licorice and Blabber and even Zazel if you're not running Mithy. So Mithy, that biggest strength is late game shot calling and coordination of the team. That's his selling point. So that would shore up C9's weakness. TL, you get a better laning support with high communication with Doublelift, who I think would make a really good duo and fit into this team. And then TSM, big issue is proactivity. You could say Ole, he's dying left and right with Doublelift, but the only thing you can't really give Ole is that he's not proactive. And TSM fans are constantly saying, TSM, just roll over right now. And they don't do anything proactive. Ole would add to the proactivity. So I think that this makes all 3 teams stronger.
So let's answer this question that you see at the bottom of your screen here. Do all teams benefit from this trade? Right now, the community thinks no. Mark, what are your thoughts?
I mean, just to vocalize some of the community concerns I'm sure they're thinking is that it's a hard trade to get excited for because two of the people you're moving are people who are underperforming on their current teams. Mithy hasn't looked great, and you're breaking up the synergy that he has with Sven. Ole and Doublelift don't really synergize, so it's hard for a TSM fan to be like, yeah, I want Ole. And it's hard for a C9 fan to be like, yeah, I want Mithy.
Right. I think Team Liquid's happy in this trade.
Absolutely.
Team Liquid's probably pretty happy with this one, but I think I can see why it doesn't benefit all trade. But it's going more and more in their favor as they heard Zyrene's logic.
Like, two more things to add to this is Mithy doesn't even have to be the starter, right?
Right.
Zeyzal can be in there, and Mithy can be a performance coach and somebody who actually coaches the roster on late game shot calling.
Right.
And then one other thing that I want to add here, too, is that we're saying that it kind of makes all of them stronger and that two people are underperforming. I think the underperformers are kind of underperforming because of a product of their environment, that they aren't synergizing with their team, and I think a change of environment would actually make them shine once again.
I love the idea of Zeyzal being in with Mithy as a coach behind him. We hear all the time from the Cloud9 guys how vocal this young guy is in Zeyzal, as well as the way that he links up with Blabber and Licorice, two of his academy teammates who have promoted to the LCS stage. So it's an interesting thought. Of course, the teams themselves have to decide.
That's the closest we got.
Oh my goodness, by the end of it all, it was very
close.
much split. So the teams themselves have to decide if they want to do anything, when they want to do it. It's got to be before that 24th mark. Now, as teams figure out how they want to play in the current state of the game, I want to look at some of the picks pros have deemed OP. So we're going to toss Mark over to the telestrator in just a moment. First, we're going to break down Aatrox, the OP of OPs.
Yeah, this guy has kind of come onto the scene very quickly as the omnipotent champion in the game right now, and you see him permaban, and it's because he does so much. You can pick him into pretty much any lane. He wins most matchups, and if you try and build a strategy around him, he's also very flexible. We talked to a couple pro players about why he's always banned, and if you could come up with a strategy against him. And the thing is, you can put him mid, you can put him bottom, and so if you're trying to find this ridiculous effort to counterpick one champion, the clear answer is just ban it. He's this SSS OP, get it off the map champion.
Yeah, he's a ranged melee champion with sustain. So wave clear is
CC.
also a big part of his kit too.
Yeah,
so he's very hard to deal with.
What were the statistics? It's 150.
Yeah, 156 bans
across the 5 major regions.
5 major regions on 8-13, and then he got picked 15 times, and he's won 12 of those games. So an 80% win rate champion with a ton of bans.
That's already nearly perma-banned?
Yeah, probably.
Just keep it banned. So, with that off the table, we're going to go ahead and move to what are kind of looked at as the most OP picks behind the Aatrox, Nocturne and Zoe. And to break this one down, Mark's going to walk over to the telestrator and help us out.
There's a very important interaction here I want to take a look at between the two champions. So we're going to pull up Zoe's ranges on her abilities. These are her RQ combo, which is the basic way that she plays out team fights. And if you take a look at this, there's the RQ range combined together to show roughly how far it is. It can go even further if you walk around and really min-max it. But basically, you hop in there, you shoot your Q, you doink someone from far away, and it's very hard for the enemy team to react to it. Now, the problem against Nocturne is his ultimate denies vision range. So, when you look at how it actually plays out, if we roll this clip, you'll see that when Nocturne drops his ult in a team fight, Zoe can't actually see what she's shooting at. She's shooting completely blind, she pops forward, and guess what? The guy's not there anymore. You look at the E range through walls, look at the RQ range, the fact that Nocturne at 6 can just hop on her and try and shut her down. It becomes very hard to play Zoe into Nocturne. And so while it's very easy to understand why Aatrox is broken, there's actually a little bit more subtlety in why you don't see people trying to trade Nocturne and Zoe after that, meaning that you must ban Aatrox because he's broken, and you need to ban Nocturne on red side because you can't trade effectively.
All right, so I'm on red side. I have to ban Aatrox because OP. As you just mentioned, I have to ban the Nocturne for fear of that pick going over as well, which leaves me with one remaining ban. So my question now is, in this kind of pigeonholed state, is there a different approach that teams could be taking to pick ban right now that maybe hasn't been considered, in particular from red side?
I kind of just think blue side is in control of that, because if they don't ban Rakan, they leave Xayah Rakan up. If they don't ban Talia, they can like pinch you to ban Zoe or force you to ban Talia. So blue side has a lot of control here, and I haven't thought of anything where you can really kind of win it unless you know Heimerdinger Fiddlesticks and Xayah Rakan, and they can only ban really one of those, and they can't split up the other.
Right, but Mark, so often when we talk about overpowered picks and champions, like the solution for years has been, well, just don't ban anything, right? Take a trade. Fine, we give up the Aatrox, but maybe we get Nocturne and Zoe or some other priority.
Right, there's the Camille, Rengar, LeBlanc stage where all three were broken. You saw FlyQuest leaving those up when Hai was on the team. Here, they're so stratified in their power levels where like Aatrox is just so far above everyone, you can't leave that up one bam. That means that now Nocturne and Zoe you're looking at, well, we talk about how Blue side's just going to take the Nocturne, so you can't pick the Zoe, or if you do, you're severely disadvantaged, so you ban that one as well. And so you have like the SSS, the S, and then a bunch of things in the A tier.
Right.
And it makes it so it's so hard to try and leave multiple ones up because you always end up behind on red side.
So, yeah, a pick ban disadvantage for red side means it's more about execution within the game to come away with a victory. We got a minute to go in front of that game 1, so I want to take a look at predictions for the day. Let's fly those up. We still got Jat's predictions in, even though he's sick.
No, he's a Team Liquid.
Hey! And Zyrene completely aligns with Jat there, but
who
it does
needs
mean
Jat? We got Zyrene.
Yeah, we got a couple unique differences, though, in Games 2 and Games 4. We got the Team Liquid versus Cloud9 matchup and the CLG versus Golden Guardians matchup. Let's talk about Team Liquid C9. You got faith in Cloud9 with Blabber coming in.
Yeah, I believe in Blabber. I think that he'll be able to fix a lot of their issues because they were getting those advantages not because of Sven, but they were losing the game because of Sven Scaren's plays in terms of rotating around.
I'm super confident in my CLG pick now that I see Jat didn't agree with me.
Yeah, it's locked in.
Yeah, now
don't
that
even
he
have
doesn't
to play
believe in
that
them,
game
I know
anymore.
I'm good. Yeah,
Right, yeah, 100% CLG. That's one win, or one tick in the win column for Mark. But 15 seconds to go. It's time for us to throw it out to the battle arena so the guys can bring us into game 1.